It's 10:52 on a Sunday night, and you're doing that thing again. Lying there, lights off, staring at nothing, running numbers in your head. Nothing bad happened today, no emergency, no surprise expense, but somehow you're back here. Mortgage, car, credit card, groceries. Trying to figure out if this next paycheck finally gives you breathing room or if it's just another reset back to zero. And the annoying part, you already know how it ends. But you keep replaying it anyway, because the alternative is admitting this might just be your default setting now. Meanwhile, someone a few houses down, same builder, same purchase year, roughly the same income, randomly took a Wednesday off last week. Didn't ask. Didn't plan it months in advance. They just woke up and thought, yeah, not today. And that was that. They're not richer than you. They're just not stuck in that loop anymore. I'm Vanessa, and I'm kind of obsessed with why two people who look identical on paper can end up living completely different lives. Because today we're talking about something that almost nobody explains properly. What actually changes when your mortgage disappears? Not just your bank account, but your decisions, your stress level, your options, your entire life setup. And I promise, by the end of this, that Sunday night mental spiral, it's going to hit a little different. Because the truth is, you don't just lose a payment when your house is paid off. You lose something you got so used to, you stop noticing it was there. Let's talk numbers for a second, because this is where people either completely underestimate it or misunderstand it. Right now, a pretty typical mortgage payment is sitting somewhere around $2,600 a month. If you bought more recently, you're probably closer to $3,000. Now, compare that to a household taking home, say, $5,800 after taxes. That means your house alone is eating about 45% of what actually hits your bank account. Not gross income, real, usable money. And the recommended range? Closer to 25-30%. So most people are walking around stretched way past that. Every single month for decades. You just get used to it. Let's make this real. Meet Sam and Taylor. Combined income, about $120,000 a year. Sounds comfortable. After taxes, benefits, retirement, call it $7,200 a month hitting their account. Here's where it goes. Mortgage, $2,650,000,000,000,000 axes, plus insurance, $600 million, maintenance buffer, $250. That's $3,500 just to keep the house functioning. Now they've got $3,700 left. Car payments, $900. Insurance, $210. DAS, $320. Student loans, $480. Health insurance, $360. Groceries, $800. Utilities plus internet plus phones, $460. Now they're sitting at, like $170? And that's before anything random happens. They're not reckless. They're not overspending. They're just fully committed. And every decision runs through the same quiet filter. Are we still okay if we keep this house? That question never leaves. It's always open in the background. Now, imagine that question disappears. Because when the mortgage goes away, something weird happens. People don't just have more money, they start thinking differently. Let's clear something up, though. When your mortgage is gone, you don't suddenly unlock the full payment. You still have taxes, insurance, upkeep. So if you were paying $3,000, you're probably freeing up closer to $2,100 per month, not the full amount. But that $2,100, it's kind of ridiculous what it can turn into. Invest that monthly at around 7-8%, 5 years toward $150,000, 10 years toward $380,000, 15 years toward $720,000, 20 years toward $720,000. And here's the crazy part. More than half of that isn't even your money. It's growth. Now, yes, there's always someone who jumps in with, "You'd make more investing instead of paying off your mortgage early." And mathematically, Sometimes true. But real life isn't a spreadsheet. Because that argument assumes two things. One, you actually invest the difference. Most people don't. Two, you can emotionally handle volatility while still lock into fixed payments. That's a very different experience. There's also something people don't talk about enough. Debt changes how you think. It's not just numbers. It's background pressure. It affects risk-taking, patience, even decision quality. So you're not making neutral decisions right now. You're making decisions under load. Now here's where things flip. When that mortgage disappears, your baseline cost of living drops. Let's say by $25,000 a year. That alone can reduce how much money you need to be financially secure by hundreds of thousands of dollars. Not because you earned more, but because you need less, and that changes behavior fast. Because when you need every paycheck, you stay in jobs you hate, you avoid risk, you play it safe. But when you don't, you start asking different questions. So, what happens to Sam and Taylor? Let's say they knock out their mortgage early, mid-50s instead of early 60s. Suddenly, Taylor switches to a lower-stress job. Sam finally tries that small business idea they've been sitting on for years. Their income didn't explode, but their flexibility did. Quick reality check, though. Owning your house outright still costs money. Taxes go up, insurance keeps creeping, stuff breaks. You're still probably spending $900, $1,200 a month. So yeah, it's not zero. But it's a completely different level of pressure. And here's the part that should make you pause. A huge percentage of homeowners don't reach this point until their 60s. Some are still carrying mortgages into their 70s. That's a relatively new trend, and not a great one. So how do people get there faster? It's not dramatic. It's small adjustments, paying every 2 weeks instead of monthly, adding a few hundred extra toward principal, occasional lump sums when possible. Nothing extreme. But over time, it cuts years off. And those years matter more than people think. So let's bring it back. The day that last payment clears. First, make sure everything is actually processed correctly. Seriously. Second, rebuild your safety cushion. Then, and only then, start redirecting that money intentionally. Because that's where the real shift happens. But the biggest change isn't the money. It's this. Your house stops being something you have to constantly justify. You stop running every life decision through it. And that quiet pressure that's been sitting in the background for years, it finally turns off. That's why people describe it the same way over and over. Not excitement, not even relief, really, just quiet. And that Sunday night math, it doesn't last forever. But the people who escape it the earliest aren't necessarily the highest earners. They're the ones who realized what finishing actually gives you and decided to get there sooner.